This is Frankie Lynch, Saturn Girl. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment below. I want to know what you think, and it helps out with the algorithm. But today we're going to talk about a particular transit. In fact, this transit is perfecting today. I'm a little late here. It was my daughter's birthday weekend, so you can't blame me too much. But so today, June 11th, Venus in Leo forms a square to Jupiter in Taurus. Now, what does this mean for all of us? Well, Venus is our lady of beauty and harmony and femininity. She also rules sexual things. Jupiter is wisdom, liberation, and abundance. Squares are in the nature of Mars, so they happen a bit quicker. They are still a malefic aspect, just a little less so than oppositions, which are in the nature of Saturn. So when these two come together in a square, and they're both benefics, so it's not a terrible thing, but there are challenges to the expression of the beneficent influence. So Jupiter is in the superior position. We're not going to explain superior and inferior today, but we are just mentioning it because that means Jupiter is injecting his influence into Venus. So what does that look like? Some phrases I wrote down were promoting women's reproductive rights. That's Venus and Jupiter's liberation. We also have liberation struggles. Right now, I'm particularly thinking about the LGBTQ community, and in particular, the trans community. I also think of spending lots of money for good causes. Can be good causes, because Venus and Jupiter are both benefics. But for you personally, it can also be overspending for self-indulgence, because we'll have a proclivity at this time to want to enjoy ourselves, and we don't always do it responsibly. So, well, let's talk about a few historical events that correlate with this aspect. Well, number one, what I noticed is that this aspect seems to correlate with certain events that have to do with the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was signed into law on August 6th, 1965, by President Lyndon Baines Johnson of the United States, for those of you who don't know. And what it did was it made voter restrictions that certain areas, counties, or municipalities were doing to keep certain people from voting. Those were illegal, things like literacy tests and all that. While that was being signed, a week later, Venus would perfect her square to Jupiter. So she was approaching the aspect. Now, just recently, as Venus was approaching the aspect this time, the Supreme Court, in a surprise decision, which is sort of Mercury-Uranus too, but in a surprise decision, they upheld the Voting Rights Act. Now, think about liberation, right? And harmony and participation, being part of the community. So the Supreme Court, in a surprise decision, upheld parts of the Voting Rights Act because in Alabama, the GOP was trying to gerrymander and redistrict quite a bit so that, certain people would never get a majority in certain counties. It was really a nefarious plan to ensure that that their people would get elected. But we don't need to get all political. It's just a very interesting thing. But the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. Now, what is also interesting is late June 25th of 2013, the Supreme Court had issued a different decision that struck down parts of the Voting Rights Act. And this was when Saturn was square Venus. Venus was applying to a square to Saturn. So that's quite interesting. You have Jupiter, Venus, and you have these advancements, and then all of a sudden you have Saturn, Venus, and you have these setbacks. And we all know that Saturn is delays, don't we? So this aspect also perfected January 25th of 1935. That's 3 days before Iceland became the first country in the world to legalize abortion. Well, in the Western world, I'm sorry. It was the Western world, Europe, the United States, North America, South America. Pick some continents. Is Europe really even a continent? I mean, it's connected to anyway. Oh, another one. August 15th, 2022, Scotland. This is just last year. Scotland becomes the first country in the world, period, to make menstrual products, feminine hygiene products, free for all. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And this is a wonderful, positive development in women's rights. August 16th, 2022, last year also. It's when President Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, which pledged $370 billion in both spending cuts and tax cuts that were intended to raise funds to fight climate change. So we're trying to fight, well, not very well, but So what does that mean for us in particular? Again, positive developments in women's rights, because women's reproductive rights are under attack. So we might be hearing some interesting developments over the next few days. Oh, we also saw a Trump-appointed judge in Tennessee strike down a drag ban because it was unconstitutional. The law was way too vague. I've never worn, well, I guess I was wearing drag when I was pretending to be a guy, but as far as the past 2 years, I've never worn drag. This is just my clothes. So you never know what they're going to consider, what they're going to outlaw. Anyway. So, and this is another one, because a federal judge in Florida halted a ban on gender-affirming care for minors, which effectively also banned it for adults, because I won't go into all the thing, but they no longer were allowing nurse practitioners to give gender-affirming care, and they're allowing doctors to decline gender-affirming care. So it's getting very hard for adults who are making the choice on their own. It's so funny. They said, we're not attacking trans people, we're just trying to save the children, which is a lie, because now they're attacking trans adults. So, but the fact that this judge at least put a halt on it gives us hope. He called the bill an exercise in politics, not good medicine, and it would cause irreparable harm to trans youth and the wider trans community. We already talked about the Voting Rights Act, but it's a very cool and unexpected outcome. So what's this mean for you? So you got to watch going to excess with spending. Things like eating, drinking, or pleasure in general. There may be a trend towards hedonism, and we have to mind our money. We have to mind our resources, and we have to mind our time. We have to find a balance between pleasure and effort, because we tend to go really far in one direction, and then we swing back the other way. So now we also see it's a time to enjoy yourself. Like, have fun, go out. Just be mindful of the consequences. You don't want to feel like you've been, run through a water mill the next day, or through the washing machine rather. I'm trying to think of you, like I almost said something to do with drinking, but I YouTube is so weird. Like I went through all of the guidelines online and I still am not sure. Like it's so vague. It says excessive cussing, but how many times? In what words? Like, is it like an R-rated movie? Can I say the F word twice? Like, I don't know. Should I just not say anything at all? Should I not address important issues? I don't know, YouTube. Please tell me. Excuse me. Now, what else do we have here? Oh, this could be good luck. Of course. But you have to look at the areas of life indicated by the houses. So what, this is an Aquarius rising like me, chart here. You see Jupiter's in Taurus in the fourth house of parents and family in the home. Living situation, origin. And then up here we have Venus in the seventh house of partnerships, business partnerships, and legal affairs. Competitors, contestations. So we have these two over here. So we can think about partners, probably spouses, relationships, being involved with the fourth house here. So you may want to watch out for positive developments with your parents or living situation that may be influencing either a legal affair or a romantic relationship. This is just one example. I'm not doing horoscopes for all these because this only lasts a few days. But suffice it to say, this is still a very interesting transit. And it is a time to enjoy yourself. Just be careful. Be safe, sane, and consensual. Anyway, I hope this was informative. And thank you for watching all the way until the end. And please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Comment below. And I love you. And don't forget, I do wonderful readings. All my information and contact info is down below in the description. And now I can say I love you and have a wonderful whatever you're having.